for today. How many of you are familiar with the author, local author, humorist, Anne Lamott? Okay, so from her book, Plan B, Further Thoughts on Faith, she writes about holiness. Holiness has most often been revealed to me in the exquisite pun of first syllables, of wholes, in not enough help, in brokenness, in mess. High, holy places with ethereal sounds and stained glass can massage my illusions of holiness. But in holes and in lostness, I can pick up the light of small, ordinary progress. Newly made moments flecked like pepper into the slog and the disruptions. Another secret is that laughter is carbonated holiness. And our second reading comes from the book of Genesis, the book of beginnings, a very first book in the Bible, the Hebrew Scriptures, a story Jesus was very familiar with. And so let's listen to the Spirit in this shorter version. You can refer to more details if you'd like, but highlights from Genesis chapter 18, 1 through 2, and 9 through 15. The Lord God appeared to Abraham by the oaks of Mamre as he sat at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day. Abraham looked up and he saw 3 men standing near him. When he saw them, he ran from the tent entrance to meet them and bowed down to the ground. The 3 men said to Abraham, "Where is your wife Sarah?" And he said, "There, in the tent." And one said, "I will surely return to you in due season, and your wife Sarah shall have a son." And Sarah was listening in the tent entrance behind him. Now, Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in age. It had ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. And so Sarah laughed to herself, saying, "After I have grown old and my husband is also old, shall I be fruitful?" And the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Shall I indeed bear a son now that I'm old?' Is anything too wonderful for the Lord? At the time set, I will return to you in due season, and Sarah shall have a son." But Sarah denied, saying, "I didn't laugh," for she was afraid. God said, "Yes, you did. Laugh." So ends our reading. Let us meditate on these words in our hearts and minds. Please pray with me. Come, Holy Spirit, fill our hearts. Kindle us all in the fire of your love. Send forth your Spirit that we may all be renewed. Together, through you, we shall renew the faith of the earth. Amen. I'm going to ask the folks over here to come on over here. It's not just about me. You don't want to do that? Okay. All right. All right. Okay. I just want you to pair up so Jim's alone. Okay, whatever. Okay. So obviously today we're going to go on an adventure. We're going to laugh and think and imagine and reimagine and rediscover the revolutionary message of Jesus in a whole new light. Are you ready to dive in? You don't look it. Okay, so take a moment. Think of the corniest joke or memory that you know. I'm going to give you 2 options. One is about getting older, Another is moments set aside for a time of silence. It's printed in your bulletins if you take a look at this. And I want to give you 30 seconds to bring something to mind. Moments when you've tried your hardest to suppress laughter. And when you have something in mind, turn to the person next to you. And if you don't, that's okay. Just share between the two of you. Moments. Anyone have what? Yeah. Yeah. In here. Here. Okay. Some of you are like wondering where the time of silence at the first page of your bulletins. Yeah. Okay. This one. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, we're down to joke. I can't see it. Okay. Anyone want to share? Anything humorous come to mind? Go ahead.
One time my mom took me to the emergency room. I think I'd cut my toe and needed some stitches. And as we were waiting, there was somebody in a bed behind a drawn curtain who was barfing, and on and on and on. And at first it was really gross, but then it was hilarious. And we were trying not to laugh at this poor guy who was just barfing his guts out, but we couldn't stop laughing.
Isn't there something like it's triggered in those moments when you're supposed to
Yeah, I was probably about 8 years old.
You're supposed to be like very serious and somber, like at a funeral or when somebody is like barfing in a hospital room and something takes hold of you. It's like carbonated holiness. It's like it erupts. And okay, and others, Sheila. Funeral, have you ever all of a sudden, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm pretty Irish and we laugh at funerals. It's terrible. Can you hear me? Mm-hmm. It was my uncle Frank's funeral, and his daughter was sitting next to me, my cousin Maureen. And Maureen said, you know, before my dad died, he was reaching out to his brothers. And that's my dad and a couple, you know. And I said, was Uncle Owen there? Owen was a hellraiser. And we both put our hands on our faces and we were laughing so hard. And people thought we were crying. Uncle Owen. I don't think he was there.
Laughing and crying are really similar. I mean, the limbic system, the same kind of breathing, tears come sometimes. How about our musicians here? Anything funny in church? Church moments? Come on, you have to have a few.
Oh, we should hold those.
What? Yeah.
We hold those, right?
Well, other people that want to really share? Okay, I have a couple. I mean, I was thinking even this morning in the moment of silence, all of a sudden I thought, oh, I'll just turn my mic on so that things go smoothly, and all of a sudden there was static, while we're listening to the anthem. There are so many things that go on. The sound of the buzzing, sometimes when we have the lights on, that's not happening. Or I go on and on too long while you're trying to be silent, those kinds of things. There's many things. So, but the funniest memory that I have, and I already have permission to share this, how many of you remember Christmas Eve 2022? Okay. Do you remember when Yvonne, after reading, stepped down from the pulpit and took the pulpit with him? The tambourine. See all the stuff that's in here on the next page, page 6, all the stuff you could find in church, there was a lot of this stuff in the pulpit. I mean, all kinds of stuff in the pulpit. So that all came crashing down too, including a tambourine that we had with neon lights flashing from Tim Carter and bells shimmering. And fortunately, Yvonne was okay. People ran to him. There was a lot of compassion. But I looked around, and I caught a number of people's eyes, including Yvonne, and there were these suppressed giggles. It was people trying to hold it back, but I could see shoulders shaking. It was like a Pentecostal moment spirit, you know, and then the music's going on. We're all trying to desperately keep it together, hold it together, and maybe some of that was, it was also a little scary, and it was also inappropriate, like in the middle of a Christmas Eve service, you know? But in the middle of that, in the whole of that, the brokenness, the mess of it, I felt deeply connected to all of you. In our brokenness, I felt deeply connected to Yvonne, even though I told him time and time again, don't step off of that. You have to be really careful, especially with trifocals, bifocals. And I felt really deeply connected to God. It was as if God was laughing out loud along with us, reminding us that holiness often wears a smile. Laughter isn't just good for the body, as if the body and the soul were separate. It's good for our well-being. And I think these moments of shared laughter are glimpses of grace, reminding us that joy can burst forth even in times of sorrow, like David's journey a couple of weeks ago that he shared. It was so tender, and at moments hilarious. You know, I'm choking. Put your hands up. Like there's this, and there is compassion in it, and joy. And joy can even take place in church. And a lot of you I know find moments of joy that you don't share because you might not think it's appropriate. Maybe it is. And I think Jesus would appreciate these moments. And I think Jesus created quite a few of these moments because I think Jesus was a master of wit and humor. Remember when Jesus told the Pharisees, when he was critiquing the bondage that extreme wealth can have on us, he said it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter God's kingdom? Can you imagine their faces? That was a snarky kind of humor, wouldn't you say? Or calling the wishy-washy, impulsive Peter his rock? Or how about the story of his life? What kind of a king is born in a stable with animals? A refugee? What kind of a king is crucified by the empire? But Jesus wasn't just cracking jokes, you know, like late night TV to be funny. He was using humor to shake up perspectives, challenge the status quo. And that's exactly what we need to do today. So I want you to turn to somebody, maybe somebody new, and I want you to think about what's one impossible possibility that you would like to see happening in our church or community. Take 30 seconds to think about it and then share. Lysander, please record this. I want to capture a lot of these ideas. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Yep. It's lights. Here you go. And that's also true for you folks
Guess
on
it's
Zoom.
on.
Please type in the impossible possibilities that you'd like to see happening.
You said it. It's too morbid. I have a personal experience that might be funny. But we passed that stage, I guess.
Hi, Bee, welcome. We're talking about impossible possibilities that we want to see happening in church. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do, the folks with the mics, if you want to share, you can. If not, pass it on to another group. But we'd really love to hear, we'd love to hear from as many people as possible. So who wants to start? Go ahead. Whoever wants to start, go ahead.
Oh, yes.
And each person just take a minute because we have so much to do. Okay, go ahead.
Just for the purpose, I mean, you said something that is wild and is not doing things
An
the same.
impossible possibility.
An
Yeah.
impossible possibility, okay. For me, it would be very interesting to experiment with a service at 4 p.m. on Sundays so that families that are busy on Sunday mornings could come. That is the deadest time of the weekend, and I think it would open the possibilities for new people and increase in the membership.
Is that an impossible possibility or is it possible? Nancy?
So we were saying an impossible possibility would be that this place would be flooded with young families.
This place would be flooded with young families, right? Every single pew. Lots of kids, even in diapers, right? Yeah. We would be changing diapers in the back. Yeah. What else? Others. Come on, just put it out there.
Pretty much the same thing. Yeah.
Flooded with children, babies in diapers. Okay.
A critical mass of people and members who wanted to have, events and parties and a rich church life.
Events and parties and flooded with people and okay.
And also rich.
Rich. Okay, rich in many ways. Okay.
We could afford to have our ringers every Sunday.
We could afford to have
Our extra choir guest members every
our
Sunday.
ringers. Okay. I thought you meant the bell ringer. He's free. Our ringer singers. Our ringer singers every Sunday. Okay, others. All right, pass it around.
Well, have a choir that doesn't necessarily need to have to pay ringers.
Yes.
But a congregation large enough to have a choir that's really robust.
A congregation large enough to have a choir that's really robust. What else? What else? Come on, it's your chance now. Caroline, go for it.
More Saturday weddings.
More Saturday weddings. Quiet people, come on.
People that want to get married in churches.
I don't want to put Lysandra on the spot, but I'm really curious what younger people would want to see. I'm not going to put you on the spot. Go ahead. Anybody? All right. Nothing that you would imagine or want, B? No, I really don't have anything at this point. Okay, at this point. Okay. All right. Okay. Catherine.
Something like a rock band.
A rock band.
Occasionally that would attract more people.
Okay. All right. A rock band. Okay. Katie, anything?
Well, I could say, in addition to that, just more musical performances or a theater that is housed, we have guest performances to bring people up here.
Yes. Like we could have Mean Girls
And
up
share
here.
the experience.
Les Mis up here. Yeah. The Skyline Performing Arts up here. Yeah. Jim.
The whole Bay Area of potential weddings would be aware of the wonderful backdrop we have, natural backdrop we have here for a wedding.
The whole Bay Area would be aware.
And people want to get married in churches.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because Laurie performed a wedding for
Yvonne Jones'
Mrs.
daughter.
Jones' great-granddaughter. Because we all grew up, Karen, Aaron Price, and I grew up with the Jones. And it was, they decided to do another location because of it had everything. I just cite that because we, I didn't know the granddaughter, but I certainly knew Yvonne, the mom. And it was just like a little disappointing, that they chose to go somewhere else.
It had it had like a view of the lake, and it also had like a commercial kitchen. It was a restaurant too.
So they and that's what I highlight, and envisioning the labyrinth for more weddings. But that's another subject.
Yes,
But-
yeah.
but-
Okay, but more.
but
the whole
more,
Bay Area,
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Is this an impossible possibility? Okay, we're still in the sermon. Okay, all right, okay. So now, because there'll be a chance for, okay, all right. So all of these ideas remind me of the story of Sarah. Picture her. She's pushing 90, and she's overhearing that she's going to have a baby. There in the tent, she's listening. So what does she do? She laughs. What would you do if I said, you're going to have a baby, or you're going to run a marathon? And now picture when you're 90 years old, you're going to run a marathon. You're going to do it. What would you do? Cry. Would any of you are like, what are you talking about? Like, it just be silly. It's ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous thing I've heard, right? But the beautiful part, God doesn't get angry with Sarah for laughing. It's as if God is saying, oh, yes, you did laugh. And that's okay. It's as if God is saying, I understand. I see your skepticism and your disbelief and your laughter at how absurd this is, and I'm going to raise you a miracle. Remember that quote from Annie Lamott? She calls moments like Sarah's laughter carbonated holiness. She writes, holiness has most often been revealed to me in the exquisite pun of the first syllable, in holes, in not enough, in brokenness, in mess, in our lives. I think it's beautiful, and I think it captures this moment. Here's Sarah in the whole of her life, the whole of her empty womb, beyond childbearing years, probably feeling broken by years of unfulfilled hopes and then cultural shame about her inability to have a child. And it's right there in that mess that holiness bubbles up, like carbonation in soda. She laughs because this promise seems absurdly impossible. And her laughter comes from that hole, that place of not enough. But God doesn't rebuke her. God instead essentially says, yes, Sarah, you laughed. And guess what? This laughable promise is going to come true. I think that's carbonated holiness in action. Joy, finding joy and finding presence, divine presence, not in perfection, but in the cracks of our lives, the moments when everything seems impossible. It's the laugh that comes out when you're at the end of your rope, and suddenly something unexpectedly happens. Hope appears. Do you know those moments? And here's the kicker. God tells Abraham and Sarah to call their child Isaac, which in Hebrew, do you know what that means? Laughter. It's as if God is saying, every time you call your son's name, I want you to remember this moment. Remember how you laughed at the impossible, how I turned that laughter into a miracle. And so, my friends, what are the holes in your life right now? Where are the places of not enough, of messiness, of brokenness? these might be the places where carbonated holiness is waiting to bubble up. And like Sarah, we might find ourselves just dismissing it, laughing it off. And we might find that our laughter of disbelief turns into laughter of joy as we witness the impossible becoming more